Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The evening air had settled into a still silence as I made my way home earlier than usual. The week had been relentless, the kind that drags the soul out of you, but it was finally Friday. A part of me craved the comfort of familiarity, the other dreaded what that familiarity had started to entail. For the past few weeks, a strange scent lingered in our home, a sharp, unfamiliar cologne that seemed to wrap itself around the very air, haunting me. Each time I noticed it, a twinge of suspicion gnawed at my gut, but I brushed it aside, unwilling to entertain the ghost of betrayal that had started to form in my mind. Today, however, was different. The scent had become more frequent, especially on Fridays, and today I decided to face it head-on. I parked my car quietly down the street and walked to our front door, my heart pounding in my chest. The world seemed to slow down as I turned the key in the lock, my hands trembling slightly with a cocktail of dread and anger. As I stepped inside, the house was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that screams louder than any noise. The scent hit me like a wave, stronger and more definitive than ever. It was here, now, taunting me. I followed it, each step heavier than the last, until I reached our bedroom door. It was slightly ajar, a sliver of sight to the betrayal within. Pushing the door open, the scene before me froze time itself. There she was, Betty, my wife of 8 years, the woman I had shared my deepest fears and highest hopes with. She was there, half naked, her body entwined with that of her coworker, a man whose laughter I had shared over countless office dinners. They were too caught up in their passion to notice my presence immediately. The world seemed to stop, my heartbeat the only sound filling my ears, thunderous and menacing. When they finally saw me, the shock on their faces mirrored the devastation in my heart. Words failed me as the image before me etched itself into my memory, a vivid painting of ultimate betrayal. "What the hell, Betty?" My voice, though barely a whisper, felt like it echoed through the chasm that had suddenly opened between us. Betty scrambled off him, her words tumbling out in a frantic mess. "Jack, I can explain. It's not what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. The man quickly gathered his clothes, muttering apologies that fell on deaf ears. My eyes were fixed on Betty, searching for the woman I thought I knew. In a fit of rage and hurt, I stormed out of the room, my mind racing with the venom of betrayal. That night, I slept in the guest room, my thoughts a turbulent sea of anger and planning. The following weeks were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and moving boxes. The betrayal was too deep, reconciliation was off the table. I was determined to make a clean break, to start anew away from the wreckage of what had been my life. As I closed the door on that chapter, literally and metaphorically, the scent of that cologne lingered for a moment longer before dissipating into the cold evening air. It was over, and yet, it was just the beginning. The road to retribution was unclear, but I was ready to walk it, one painful step at a time. The main plot of betrayal had unfolded, and the deeper intrigue of my revenge was yet to be revealed. The sun dips low as I walk through the bustling city streets, each step echoing the anger still raw in my veins. The cold wind bites at my face, a mere distraction from the turmoil inside. My mind races with plans, each more vindictive than the last. I'm no longer just a betrayed husband, I'm a man on a mission. I head towards the cafe where I know Betty meets her friends on Thursday evenings. It's a calculated visit, I need to confront her social circle, to expose her deception not just in our private life but publicly. As I push the door open, the familiar jingle of the bell announces my arrival. The cafe is cozy, a stark contrast to the chill clawing at my heart. I spot her immediately, laughing carelessly with her friends, a scene so normal yet so painfully fraudulent. "Betty," I call out, my voice steady despite the storm inside. The laughter dies as her friends turn, their eyes wide with surprise. Betty's face drops, the color draining as she sees me standing there. I can feel every eye in the cafe on us, the air thick with anticipation. "What are you doing here, Jack?" she asks, her voice a mix of fear and defiance. I thought it's time everyone knows the real Betty, I reply, stepping closer. The cafe goes silent, the tension palpable. Jack, please, let's not do this here, she pleads, standing up, her hands reaching out as if she could physically pull the words back into my mouth. Why, Betty? Ashamed that your friends might find out who you really are. I don't back down, my voice rising. Tell them about your affair. Tell them how you betrayed our marriage. Her friends murmur among themselves, their eyes darting between us. Betty looks around, her expression one of desperation. It was a mistake, she finally says, her voice breaking. I never wanted to hurt you. A mistake? Is that what you call it? I scoff, anger bubbling over. You destroyed our marriage. I turn to her friends, who now look on with a mixture of shock and curiosity. She was caught cheating with her coworker. In our home. The words feel like venom, but they also bring a bitter relief. Betty's face crumbles, tears starting to form. Jack, I'm so sorry, she whispers. Sorry doesn't change what you did, I reply coldly, turning to leave, the weight of her betrayal heavy on my shoulders. As I step out into the night, the cool air feels refreshing against my flushed skin. I know this is just the beginning. My heart may be broken, but my resolve is stronger than ever. I will make sure that the consequences of her actions are as public and painful as the humiliation I felt. This isn't just about revenge, it's about justice. My thoughts are clear, this will not end here. The plot of my retribution is only starting to unfold, and the intrigue of what I will do next promises to be as compelling as it is necessary. The city's lights blur past me as I drive down the downtown streets, each flickering neon sign a beacon of the growing storm within me. Tonight is not about quiet confrontations in cozy cafes. Tonight, I aim to strike where it will hurt Betty the most, her career. Betty works in marketing at a prominent firm, and tonight they host their annual gala, an event teeming with the city's elites, an event she has been preparing for months. It's her crowning achievement, and ironically, it's where I plan to make my next move. I park my car a block away from the venue and adjust my tie in the rearview mirror. My heart beats a relentless rhythm of anticipation and fury. I step out and make my way to the gala, the crisp evening air doing little to cool my heated thoughts. As I enter the grand ballroom, the hum of mingling voices and clinking glasses fills the air. I spot Betty immediately, radiant and confident, unaware of the storm approaching. I weave through the crowd, my resolve hardening with every step. Jack, what are you? Betty starts, her smile fading as she sees me approach. We need to talk, I say firmly, cutting her off. I grasp her arm gently but with enough pressure to convey the seriousness of my intentions. We move towards a quieter corner of the room, away from the curious eyes of her colleagues. Why are you doing this here? She whispers fiercely, her eyes darting nervously. You seem to forget, Betty, the magnitude of your actions, I reply, my voice low and steady. You brought this on yourself. Before she can respond, I turn away from her and towards a group of her colleagues and bosses, who are observing us with a mix of interest and apprehension. Good evening, I address them with a calm I barely feel. I apologize for the interruption, but I believe you all should know the kind of person you're celebrating tonight. Betty's hand reaches for me, a silent plea, but I step out of reach. The room quiets, the tension palpable as all eyes focus on us. Betty has been leading a double life, I continue, my voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Cheating on her husband with a coworker isn't just a personal failing, it speaks to her integrity, to her honesty. Murmurs ripple through the crowd as Betty's face crumbles, her professional mask shattered. I trusted her with my heart, just as you trust her with your business. I learned the hard way how misplaced my trust was. I look around, meeting the eyes of her colleagues. Perhaps it's time you considered the same. I don't wait for her response or the crowd's reaction. I've said enough. Tonight, I played my card, ensuring her betrayal is as public and damaging as the pain she caused me. As I walk away, the last thing I hear is the low buzz of shocked conversation starting to swell behind me. The fallout will be immense, but this is the path I have chosen. I'm no longer just the victim, I am the arbiter of her karma, ensuring that her deceit is known to all. The night air greets me with its chilly embrace as I leave the gala behind. The city has never felt so cold, nor so oddly invigorating. The plot of my retribution thickens, and with each step, I'm rewriting my story from one of pain to one of power. The intrigue of what comes next hangs heavy over the cityscape, a dark cloud promising the storm yet to come. The early morning silence is deceptive, hiding the turmoil that has become my constant companion. Today marks the end of the road for Betty and me, a conclusion forged in the fires of betrayal and wrought by the hands of vengeance. I have one last card to play, the most devastating yet, and it's time to lay it on the table. After the gala incident, Betty's life began to spiral. Her reputation tarnished, she became a pariah in her professional circle. But that wasn't enough for me, not until I made sure she could never rebuild what she had carelessly destroyed. I sit in my car outside the courthouse, the papers on the passenger seat beside me, a stark reminder of the legal battle that provided me with the ammunition I needed. Betty's affair wasn't just a personal betrayal, it had legal ramifications, involving misuse of company resources to cover her tracks. Armed with this information, I had approached her company's board, ensuring her immediate and irrevocable downfall. As I walk into the courthouse, my steps are measured, my resolve like steel. Inside, I find Betty already there, a shadow of her former self, her eyes hollow, her stance defensive. "Jack, please, can we just talk?" she pleads as I approach. There's nothing left to say, I respond coldly, my voice echoing slightly in the vast marble hall. "But I know everything, Betty," I cut her off, holding up the documents for her to see. "And soon, everyone else will know as well." Her eyes widen in fear, a mix of realization and defeat settling over her. "What are you talking about?" I smile, not out of joy but out of a dark satisfaction. "Your little escapades were quite expensive, weren't they? Using company funds to book romantic getaways, dinners under false pretenses. It's all here, documented and ready to be revealed in court." Betty's face goes pale, her body swaying slightly as if the weight of her secrets is too much to bear. "You wouldn't," she whispers. "I already have. And there's more," I continue, the final blow ready to be delivered. "I've made sure that the evidence is irrefutable and that it leads not just to your professional demise but to a criminal investigation. You won't just be unemployed, Betty, you'll be unemployable." The gavel sounds in the background, and we are called forward. As we stand before the judge, the formalities begin, but all I can focus on is the sweet, cruel victory. Betty tries to defend herself, to explain, but the evidence is overwhelming. The judge's verdict is swift and harsh, reflecting the severity of her deceit. As the judge delivers the sentence, Betty turns to me, her eyes filled with tears, betrayal, and a dawning realization of the magnitude of her loss. But my heart is stone, there's no room for mercy, not anymore. "I hope it was worth it," I say quietly as the officers lead her away. Walking out of the courthouse, the sun breaks through the clouds, casting long shadows on the ground. I feel a weight lifting off my shoulders, a chapter closing. I know this victory has its own costs, its own shadows that will linger in my life. But as I move forward, away from the courthouse, away from Betty, I know that this ending is also a beginning. The intrigue of my revenge is complete, the plot of my retribution fulfilled. As I disappear into the bustling city, ready to rebuild and restart, the promise of a new life without betrayal beckons. Betty and I part ways forever, a final severance forged by the flames of retribution and the cold, hard truth of justice served.